Ever heard of making no-bake cheesecake from condensed milk? I had neither until talking to Jennifer Rader. In fact, she wrote the book and several other cookbooks with several recipes from shelf-stable foods. And those books are called Good Eats from the TEOTWAWKI Cafe, which stands for The End of the World as We Know It. And yes, I do hear that song every time I see that. She says the word as an acronym or the acronym as a word, but when I say it, I sound like I'm coughing and need one of her herbal remedies, which she talks about this week on Know It, Live It. You're listening to Know It, Live It. I am your host, Laura Hansen Breksa. Each week, I have an insightful conversation with a fascinating person who shares their life mission, determination, passion, principle, or spiritual journey. I have with me today Jennifer Rader. I met Jennifer at the LDS PMA conference in October 2025. I was struck with her enthusiasm for food stories, natural remedies, blog, and her readers. Thank you, Jennifer, for talking with me today.
Thank you so much, Laura. I'm so excited to be here with you.
How did you know that this is something that you wanted or needed to do with your life?
You know, um, I have always loved learning about and becoming prepared. I remember attending church meetings when I was really young, like 10, 11, 12 years old, and hearing talks on the importance of food storage. I absolutely knew we were hearing counsel from prophets of God. Uh, When my husband and I married, my year's supply of food became a 6-month supply, um, because apparently his food storage didn't come with him. Anyway, so we used our wedding, gift money to acquire what we needed. But it wasn't until I started driving across the desert. I was taking my daughter to BYU, Idaho, and it was a 10-hour drive for us. Wasn't until then that I knew Heavenly Father basically told me that I needed to start writing this blog. Um, I figured I didn't know that much, and it wouldn't take more than a few months of daily posting. It's been over 7 years now, and I keep learning things that I and others need to know.
Isn't that interesting how you learn as you share? And
Uh, yeah, yeah, it blows me away. People always talk about, if they're giving talks in church, like, "Oh, I learned so much more from this than you do," and it's like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah." But I learn so much, um, in my daily research. I try to share everything I learn, distill it, get the thousands of words I read into, maybe a 500 to 1,000 word, post that's just what people need to know. But it blows me away how much there is to learn.
absolutely. Now I'm going to back up, Jennifer. So
Mhm.
we're members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And so when we say prophets, we believe that the church is restored from the same organization that the church had when Jesus Christ was on the earth. So we have prophets and apostles. And we have been encouraged to have a 12-month supply of food and necessities and to be self-reliant. I'm not sure how Jennifer feels about this, but to me, it always meant that if something happens, it's so we are never desperate. So we can
Oh,
have a sense of calm and we can make logical decisions because a feeling of desperation can turn you off from listening to Heavenly Father and making more spiritual and wholesome decisions.
yes, absolutely. I'm so glad you shared that. That is one of the things that drives me, and I don't want people to be fearful. I think if you are prepared, you will not fear. And so I look at the things that could happen, but how do we, be prepared for these things? I know, like, from history, you read about what happens in economic collapses. That horrifies me. And just a little bit of preparation, this really isn't that hard. Preparing can make all the difference. Um, it brings peace, it brings comfort. It I think it just it makes us a lot more just a lot more peaceful. I think a lot of anxiety and depression in the world is because people can deep down they know something's wrong and they aren't ready to deal with it. I do food storage and medical preparedness. And one thing that I've gotten from doctors, the ones who believe in being prepared, who recognize that our medical system is also quite fragile, is that we can deal with a reasonably educated layperson, and I don't mean someone who's gone to college for 4 years, but someone who can read, um, and, just understand basic physiological processes like the bare basics of nutrition and such. If you have the little bit of training, you have references. Obviously, we are not, this isn't med school, but we can have references that help us out, and you have to have the supplies, the medicines, and most are, um, as I think his name's Dr. Joseph Alton. It's like you it's paraphrasing, but you do the best you can with what you have in your circumstances. Um, and preparation means your circumstances are a lot better.
So do you think you can make some of your own circumstances?
Well, I think that's, what people do all the time, like, um, the you have your circumstance of where you live. I think living in a big city is not a great place to be. I like being able to grow my own food. I like being able to go outside and gather some medicine. Um, I'm more comfortable living in a conservative community.
How do you grow anything how do you grow anything in Nevada?
Well, you know, Heavenly Father has created this beautiful earth, and right now actually, I live in a tiny ranching community, but I look out at the desert, and we gather, herbs in the desert. There's medicine out in the desert too. The Indians used tumbleweed for treating smallpox.
You should not grow carrots in Nevada. Have you?
Um, well, I didn't grow carrots this year, but I have in previous years.
Serious?
Um, you wouldn't there are a lot of ranches in Nevada. Um,
I know, but I don't know what I'm thinking they're feeding their cattle. I just can't imagine anything growing in Nevada. I drive through
oh,
Nevada
yeah.
as fast as the speed limit lets me. My father grew up
That's
in Nevada, but I'm like, I know why my grandma hated it and wanted to get out as fast as she could. She
well,
painted
okay.
landscapes of Nevada, but I just see mountain and desert. I guess there are things that grow there, but I don't think of people like on purpose. I just think they're gonna hit sand because obviously I'm ignorant of Nevada. So you can
Well,
grow things on purpose.
that's okay, and I definitely do not want to promote Nevada as a place to move to. You all can keep thinking that it's a wasteland. That's great.
Are you trying to
Um,
keep it to yourself?
oh, yeah. I I live at 6,000 feet. I look down at a cattle pasture. I think the rancher just oh, no, his cows are over there. I look out at 1,000 cattle, and I look out at them. They're not next door, so they aren't, smelling up our house, but I look out at these cattle, and, my daughter and son-in-law, he just became manager of a cattle ranch. It is in the middle of Timbuktu. Okay. I mean, I'm pretty far out, but they're way far out. But we have green here, and In the 1850s and 1860s, Nevada was grassland. It was sheep farmers, sheep ranchers coming in and overgrazing that turned us into a desert.
Oh,
And it was other cattle ranchers taking out the beaver, which helped actually create grassland, and that's a topic of a whole different podcast that I don't talk about because I don't know it very well, but I do know that taking the beaver out is bad. Having
right.
the beaver in, that helps, um, spread out the water and helps give the water for the grass to grow and to help us not be a desert. There is one rancher a couple hours north of me who's doing that, who sees that, wow, this really is true. Bringing the beaver in does change things. Um, so anyway, there's
Well, I
that.
think
But
that
no, Nevada's a terrible place to live, and nobody needs to come here.
stay out and leave it for the
So
locals.
yeah.
My dad's dad was a miner, so
Oh,
so but I think
we
what you're saying rides right into what you write about because people are messing with the ecosystem and
mhm.
Mother Nature, and you're promoting we use it basically what it was intended for. So I want you to tell me more about the medicine surrounds us, and then I wanna go
Okay.
back to food storage, especially this book, Good Eats at the
Mhm. Tiatuaki Cafe.
thank you, I practiced that a couple times, and then I didn't trust myself.
Okay.
Good Eats at the End of the World as We Know It Cafe,
Yes.
making the most of powdered milk in your food storage. This book is how many pages is it? The recipes go for over 200 pages, correct? And
Correct.
there I have looked at this book, I have not tried any, and they are not, silly recipes. They are pretty cool recipes. So let's talk about medicine surrounds us and then good eats.
Tiatuaki Cafe. So I've been doing I just started this was supposed to be a blog. I was never planning to write books. Um, but as I continued writing, because the 3 months became 12 months and so on, um, I realized we had to have this information written down, and part of it was the medicinal herbs. It was something that I hadn't considered until, um, a medical doctor who was, teaching an off-grid class I took, he said, "This works." And the first herb we were learning about is something called usnea. Most people haven't heard it called that. It's something they you see when you go out camping. It's the moss on the trees. We call it moss. It's a lichen, um, and it can be the sage green or the yellow green, and it can be really long or small tufts. Anyway, that makes a potent systemic antibiotic. The Chinese have used that to treat tuberculosis. They take care of it in 2 months. We take pills for 6 months to 2 years, and then what's that do to our gut? Um, and so I started with that, but then just learning more and more, there is medicine all around us, and a quote that, I read in a book by the herbalist Stephen Bunner, it's, I wish I don't have it right in front of me here, I don't remember where it is in my book, but it's that this was coming from the Cherokee Nation. Their teachings were that each plant, stepped up and said they all promised to each do something to help man in his time of need, to take on some kind of medicinal property. Um, and then we also, we just know we've seen throughout history that people use plants. Western nations are the first people in history who have turned these plants into pill form, which admittedly is kind of handy, it tastes better. I mean, you don't really taste them, but it goes down quickly, um, so that you don't have that nasty taste for a long time. It's, convenient, and it makes Big Pharma money. Um, we got to this position even up until the early 1900s. So we get research from around the world. And when I do my research on these herbs, I consult not just I mean, I have, over, like, probably 2 dozen references, herbal medicine references
Mhm.
here now, to see what American herbalists have said, um, what we have from the Native Americans, what we have from people around the world, because most people cannot afford, industrial pharmaceuticals. What do they use? What did their grandmothers use? That's what a lot of the research is that's going on around the world in these poorer countries. The scientists wanna know, "Why did grandma make me, eat this weed or put this plaster on?"
Mhm.
And we're finding the science behind it.
Speaking
What
of
I
which
find Oh, go ahead.
speaking of which, I'm coughing. I'm and I'm like, I should look what would be good for a cough because you have, an appendix here.
You There will be quite a few things good for cough in that book. That was something that's been interesting to me as I
There
compiled
is.
a therapeutic index, was the common maladies, common cold, common cough, fever, stomach ache. Common maladies will be treated by dozens of herbs. You will find something in your backyard, maybe the front yard, that takes care of what you have, the common stuff. Heavenly Father doesn't want us to be sick. He wants us to be healthy. We have
Mhm,
all this stuff around us, all these herbs that make fabulous medicine.
mhm, mhm. It's pretty cool, and it's right there.
And I don't want people to take my word for it. That's ridiculous. We had a couple of big name doctors in this country telling us, just trust us. We have trust issues now. And that's why I source everything. You've got in the footnotes, you can go and find who says this. Do I trust this?
Yeah, I like that it's so well researched, personally. I
Good.
I think
Too.
it's, much, more credibility to you when you do the research.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that because that's another thing in this country. Anybody can say they're an herbalist. I can create in half an hour, well, not half an hour. Give me an hour, give me a day. Create an herbal medicine course, and I can, have people sign up for it, and if they go through the material, I can send them a certificate saying they're a certified herbalist. Anybody can do that in this country. So claiming you're an herbalist doesn't really mean much, unfortunately. That's why I document things. So, another reason why. And to cover myself with the FDA, so I don't need trouble.
Should you don't want someone getting sick.
I'm just showing what you can do.
That's their responsibility, of course.
Yes.
You don't take
Yes.
responsibility for their actions.
No. That's something that's another problem in our country is people do not take personal responsibility. Like, wouldn't the world be a better place if people were more responsible?
Yes, they would be. And being prepared is taking responsibility. You're prepared to take care of
Correct.
this problem, and you've looked at what could possibly go wrong. Not that you can predict everything that could go wrong. You're gonna miss some things, and you don't wanna be an alarmist either. You don't wanna be freaking out, thinking
No.
that something's gonna happen any moment, and it might be something simple. You could just get really ill and miss more days than you thought at work. You miss more wages than you
Right.
thought, so the groceries you can't cover groceries that week.
Absolutely.
Or, um, I've had times when I just can't get to the grocery store. Now you can get food delivered, so it's a little different than when my kids were little, when you couldn't do that, but as I remember it, and you've gotta make do with
Right.
what you got, what you
Right.
have is
Well,
what you have. Just could be little things, just little inconveniences, and so if you have even if you have a little extra, it's not panic time.
right. Like,
Mm.
in the course of writing this blog, my husband has been laid off. Okay, he wants me to say this right. He's been laid off once. The other time that we were without work for a year was his company was sold. Um, so we had our food, we had our medicine. The second time he was laid off, or well, first time laid off, second time he was without a job, um, we decided to go without medical insurance on me. And because I'm generally healthy, a week later, I had an ulcer. It's like, okay, do I believe this stuff works? Yes, I do. And I use the herbs. I used the usnea tincture that I talked about earlier, made a tincture with it. It tastes really, really, really bad. But it works. Okay. My ulcer cleared up. We can use this medicine. We have it whenever there's a problem, whether it's large or small, whether it's a little disaster like a job loss, or like my area has experienced, there was a series of snowstorms. I think it was about 15 years ago. People couldn't get out for 2 weeks.
Mm,
You know,
it's a long time.
yeah, it's
It's a
good to have
long
food.
time. It's good to
It's good
have
to have food.
food. It's good to have food, and then, I have gone through periods of time where I've had food storage, whether I'm just buying extra cans or I've got dried milk or I have extra flour, which now I don't eat gluten anymore, but I have a wheat grinder. I've used to make
Mhm.
things with whole wheat. There's a lot of things I can use, but and then you rotate your food storage, so you're always eating the fresh stuff. You don't let food spoil. Not
Right.
so great with that, I will admit. But once you get a lot of food, you gotta use it. And
Yes.
things you go, you get a can you can get number 10 cans of butter, dehydrated butter. You can get number 10 cans, and number 10 cans, excuse me, are like big coffee cans. Not I know coffees I don't drink coffee, it's against my religion, but I know people get fancy coffees now, but back in the day, you get a huge cannon of instant coffee, I think it's called, right? Where it's powdered coffee beans,
I
but
I
that's a
I don't
number 10
know.
can, the big ones.
Right. The big
So,
ones.
get number 10 cans of, like, dehydrated carrots and I don't even know what you use those in. I tried using those, they ended up in the trash. But anyway, don't freak out. Don't hate me, Jennifer. They got thrown away. But this book where you can actually learn to use that dehydrated milk instead of just using it in I think I used it to make hot chocolate. I think that was usually how I made it, or I put it in pancakes or
Uh-huh.
biscuits. But, that's pretty good, pretty good.
Yeah, that's
But
right.
you have it in some pretty cool recipes, so, like I said, tell me more about these recipes that I mean, it's amazing. You have in smoothies,
Mhm.
no-cook cottage cheese, yogurt, pudding,
Yeah. Yep.
uh, you know, banana bread. You have it in all kinds of stuff, so tell me more about this.
It is I love powdered milk. That's,
Love powdered milk?
that's a kind of scary thing to hear someone say. I mean, you've gotta wonder if they're a little touched in the head, were they in a car accident, powdered milk, and it wasn't always that way. Um, in fact, it probably started out as my one of my biggest fails with food storage, like everyone. You might rotate the flour, you rotate the sugar. I never rotated the powdered milk. I did try to use it every once in a while. It was usually a fail. Um, I mean, it has a reputation, a well-deserved reputation for tasting disgusting, right? We know, however, we know that Jesus turned water into wine, but making powdered milk taste good? That takes real faith, okay?
I will absolutely.
I have the king and the queen of the picky eaters in my family, and I have their dad. They are extremely picky. So for a lot of years, I didn't use it, even though I tried. I mean, I would try, but not everything was a fail. But I got to thinking, it's like, why is this something so good to store? Why are we counseled to include it? Because of the vitamins in there. And it's like, there has to be something we can do. And I kept researching and I would find the recipes. So there's something called Magic Mix, which is just powdered milk. You can use butter. I actually use coconut oil. I discovered this all on my own. It was my own idea to try it instead of butter. So powdered milk, flour, and coconut oil. You make this magic mix. It will substitute for all your cream of chicken, cream of celery, cream of mushroom, all those soups. It makes a great cream of tomato soup. Um, you can turn it into pudding or gravies, um, pies, custards. It's fabulous. So that was the first big win for me with powdered milk.
That's why it's named.
Then I came across the SOS mix and it was developed by the University of Utah, and they use it, and the SOS stands for soup or sauce, for making soups. And we got some of our favorite soup recipes from that, making sauces. And then I went to making yogurt, and I had tried over the years to make yogurt. And I did make yogurt. I mean, it was yogurt, but it was really tart. And it's like, how come the grocery store yogurt isn't tart? And because that's what the kids want, right? And I finally found how to make it so it's not tart. And then you can even turn it into cream cheese. And that is fabulous. I This is the powdered milk. I use it every day. I eat yogurt every day. I don't eat cream cheese every day. You can make your food so good that your family will be happy to eat. It is not difficult. It doesn't require wild, crazy ingredients or crazy procedures. It's really easy to do. Um, because we have to have good food. Heavenly Father doesn't want us to be miserable. He knows what we've been eating. He knows what's on this earth. He knows what we're used to. And he knows how important good food is to good morale. If people are not happy with their food, they aren't going to be happy. And if our families aren't happy, we aren't going to be happy. That's going to be stressful. When in hard times, when we're eating our food storage, it's already hard. We don't need to make it harder with our food. You know, you see people out there who want to, well, this is how you make hardtack. Well, yeah, great. It is good to have a recipe for or at least, I don't know if you need to even have the recipe. It's good to know that there's hardtack out there, but is that how you're going to prepare? Is that what you want to eat? No, you want to eat the food that you normally eat. Now, maybe you need to make changes. Let's just learn how to make bread, learn how to make good bread, and it's not, the Wonder Bread from the store. But you don't want to be eating hardtack. You don't want to feed that to your families. You want to make them good food.
Mhm. You don't go massive and go buy a year's supply of peaches. You buy an extra can. And what you're talking about, you just substitute a little bit at a time, learn one recipe at a time. I think that's
Uh-huh.
what you're saying, Jennifer.
Oh, absolutely. Yes, that's, one day at a time, one step at a time.
So jumping to your prep school daily blog,
Oh, the blog. Right.
the
Okay.
blog, there is a line in there, little paragraph that I want to read
Mm.
because I
Okay.
absolutely love it. It says, and I have to apologize for the lack of annoying pop ups that jiggle and twist and hurt your eyes and keep you from reading what you want to read. But there are plenty of other sites where you can find those if you need them. So I have to ask you for what came first, writing skills or passion for being prepared?
Okay. Well, no, it would have to be the preparedness because that started when I was, 10, 11, 12. Um, Writing, I never imagined, um, thought of myself as being good. I do know how to compose a sentence and that a period goes at the end. Um, and I've heard people say, everyone has a book inside them, and I thought that was the stupidest thing I'd ever heard in my life. I did write a children's book. It was actually a compilation of recipes, so a cookbook for, um, children's Play-Doh and finger paints and bubbles and things like that, and it was published, close to about 30 years ago now by Doubleday, so it was traditionally published, and that was fun. It was a load of fun, um, but I just kind of write how I talk, and I try to make it a little bit entertaining because food storage is really a boring topic. Um, at least most people make it that way. But I don't want it to be boring. I don't want my food to be boring. I want my family to be happy. I want good food. Okay, I just really like good food. I'm just one of those people who does, but and we have ways to make it good.
You're a
You
food
can
storage foodie.
well, yeah, okay, that would be it. I am a food storage foodie, okay? I mean, you can make all right, would you believe this? You can make mayonnaise with garbanzo bean juice. You don't have to have eggs. So you wouldn't even have the risk of salmonella in there. The recipe is on the blog and it is in volume 2 of Good Eats because it's a condiment. So I have volume 2 of Good Eats is all the condiments, sauces, and such.
Now I know you
Salad
can
dressing.
replace fat, like in cookies, with pureed beans. I've done that before.
Yeah, I don't like
That's
that
good.
very much.
Oh, I did. I
Like
loved
it
it.
much.
Navy beans. Ah, well, I'm not a foodie, so I'm just down there. All them wrong. So
Food that your family likes.
I don't know if
So,
they liked it. I did. Maybe I
and
just didn't feel guilty eating them.
well, I mean, and that's part, but like, back with the milk, I did taste tests with my family. We tested different brands, one time, and, um, you know, everyone liked a different brand. It's like, okay, whatever. I also tested the powdered milk from the home storage center. So the LDS church has these home storage centers where anybody can buy food. You don't have to be a member. They don't ask. It's got the best price for powdered milk out of all the major brands anywhere. It's also the most nutritious powdered milk. But anyway, so I took that
That's
powdered milk
true. Mhm.
and I doctored it 6 different ways, whether it was adding vanilla and sugar or adding more powder or, adding honey, 6 different ways for my family, and we had, like, 8 or 10 of us taste testing. Maybe it was only 8 at the time. Everybody picked a different favorite, and I'm just like, "Are you kidding me?" Ah! My husband liked the one with honey, I thought it was gross. One son liked the vanilla and sugar, which is a really popular one. Another one liked adding more powder, which is another popular one. The one I liked the best, it tasted like whole milk to me, and I was scared to try it. I thought it was gonna be gross, but, this is kind of the job description, things I have to do because of this blog. The things I have to do, it's crazy. But anyway, so I added pasteurized powdered eggs and coconut oil, and it tasted like whole milk to me. It was really good. But we have to do what's gonna work for our family members and recognize that they all have different taste buds. I think, Heavenly Father could have done things differently there, wouldn't have objected. We could have all had the same taste buds in the family, that would have been nice, but, he didn't. But we gotta do what works for our family to help them be happy in tough times.
Mhm. And tough times come.
When tough
Right?
times come.
And they do.
They do to everybody. We don't like it, we don't sign up for it, but, here they are. Um, and as we see, things are getting I mean, food keeps getting more expensive at the grocery store. what are things we can do to bring our costs down? Do you really have to spend $1.50 or $2 or whatever it is now for a can of evaporated milk? Or can you make some with powdered milk and save yourself a lot of money? You can make it with you can make condensed milk with powdered milk. I just made a no-bake cheesecake that way. And my daughter requested that for her birthday. For her birthday, instead of a cake, she wanted the no-bake cheesecake, and it's like, could have had anything. I would have made her anything, but that's what she wanted. She knew it was coming from food storage. Didn't care, because that's what tastes really good to her. It tastes really good.
Yeah, I'm gonna make some of this recipes. So on that note, where can people find out more about you and read this great blog that you have going on?
Okay, so the blog is Prep School Daily, all one word, .blogspot.com. It is not pretty, and you look at it and think this is not a professional site, and it surely isn't. The only thing I can do well is write. The technology, it's not there. You don't have a lot of pictures, no pop-ups or jiggly pictures, and no annoying sounds either. So then there's my author website, which is authorjenniferrader.com, and that's all one word. You can buy my books there. It loads a little slow. I find that frustrating, but I haven't figured out how to fix that. And then my books are also available on Amazon, which is
And
how
it's
most
Rader, but spelled Rader.
Yes. And the books are less expensive on my blog or on my website, my author website, than they are on Amazon. So in case that makes a difference.
It always does. Everyone
So,
wants to save some money.
right. Well, hope so. Yeah.
Well, maybe not. I like to save money. And I'm going to stay out of Nevada. Don't worry. I won't move there. I'm a native Californian. It's gorgeous here. Thank you very much for joining me.
Oh, this was great. I have loved this.
I'm proud of you for not just thinking about it, but actually doing it. So thanks for listening. Visit knowitliveit.net for the latest scoops, recaps, and more. Remember to like, leave a comment, and subscribe to this podcast. Don't miss an episode with a fascinating person who walks their talk.